Hey, this is Steve Bloom, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek Unlimited, episode 63. I'm your host, Steve Megatron Phillips, and joining me this week is...
Mike Boothninja Powers.
Welcome back.
Hello. I'm still alive.
Yay. And the other Mike.
Yes, TFG1 Mike.
You're outnumbered, Steve. You're always outnumbered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. There's always two Mikes. Whether it's a Transformers podcast with Michael Wilson and TFG1 Mike, or Mike Dodd, and either one of you.
If you count both myself and Powers, plus the actual equipment we use, you're outnumbered by 5 mics.
That was bad.
You and your bad puns.
Oh boy.
So, what's been new with you guys?
Not to rehash what we just talked about, but it's relevant. I just got done watching Iron Man 3 again and all of the Marvel one-shots. I still have all the same feelings I had for Iron Man 3 that I did a long time ago, and I don't want to get into all that crap again. The Marvel one-shots are kind of fun, especially All Hail the King, where they unscrew Iron Man 3 partially. Other than that, I don't know. I've been working a lot lately. Like the last 2 weeks, the other guy that I split my shifts with at my second job was on vacation, so I had to work every day, and I didn't feel like doing much else since so much of my free time was being taken up by work.
Yeah.
And I've just been super lazy when it comes to off the cuff. I usually end up canceling it with the guys like right before we're actually supposed to sit down and record it. I'm like, you know what? No, I'm not really feeling it tonight. That's kind of always the way that we roll with that podcast anyways. It's never consistent. Let's see. I don't know. I don't know if I've been on since I've gotten my new phone, but I don't really want to talk too much about that. Other than...
Well, what did you get?
I got an iPhone 6. Other than Apple's... Now, I know that near-field communication is nothing new, and I have used near-field communication for mobile payments on my credit card, just by like tapping it, not having to swipe it.
Right.
And I have used near-field communications. I did it once at Best Buy when I had an Android phone for 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
So I know that near-field communication mobile payments is like nothing new.
Right.
It's just that when Apple gets behind something, stuff happens.
Yeah, that's usually the way it is.
So one of the things about the iPhone 6 that got me really excited was the whole idea of Apple Pay, their mobile payment near-field communication solution.
Mm-hmm.
I was really excited about that, and that went live yesterday. But I was stuck at work all day, and I wasn't able to try it out. I did get to try it today. First of all, it does work the way that they claim it does, as long as you go to a place that actually accepts it.
Right.
Like my wife and I went to McDonald's for dinner, so I could try it out there, and then we went and bought candy bars at Walgreens, so I could try it out there. Like, the setup process is just as dead simple as they say it is. You just open up Passbook, and it says, do you want to import a card? And you say yes, and it says, okay, take a picture of the card. And no sooner did I point the camera at my credit card, did it have all the information already put in.
Oh, sweet.
So you didn't have to put in, 16 digits by hand or any of that stuff. It was just all done. And it does work the way, they claim it does. You just walk up to the terminal and you basically point it at it and you hold your finger on the fingerprint scanner and it says, okay, purchase complete, and you're done. The only thing that was really awkward about it was, holding your phone out, because I feel like when you walk up to the cash register and you're holding your phone out, it's kind of like, and the way that you have to hold it to make it work, it's kind of like you're handing. It's almost like a handing motion, like you're handing your phone to the cashier, and it's kind of like, well, what the hell do you want me to do with this? But it's kind of like, no, I'm holding on to it. I'm just paying. But it was really neat. I don't know. Like I said, McDonald's supports it, Walgreens supports it, but we don't have too many Walgreens around us. And we have more Rite Aids than we do Walgreens. So I was like, it'd be really nice if like Rite Aid would support this.
Right.
Or like, Best Buy where I go all the time, or even like Walmart and stuff like that. But in following Apple Pay and what was going on with it, because Apple's now behind this mobile payment thing, so many articles were being written on the topic of mobile payments.
Mm-hmm.
And companies like Best Buy and Walmart have opted not to support Apple Pay. They are actually part of a larger initiative to form their own mobile pay platform. And it's called, I kid you not, it's called Current C.
Wow, that's dumb.
Basically, it's current with a capital C. It's all one word, current with a capital C on the end.
That's about as lame as half the puns I come up with.
I have to agree with you.
Shut the hell up.
Like a bunch of mainstream bigger businesses are part of it. Like I said, like Best Buy is part of it, Walmart's part of it, Rite Aid is a part of it, Target is a part of it. They're hoping to launch their platform by like next year, but I don't think any of them were really expecting. I think a lot of them are waiting to see how disruptive Apple is.
Well, wait a minute. I thought Target was a part of the Apple.
Target's mobile app is a part of it.
Oh.
I can download their app and buy stuff online and have it sent to my house, but I can't go to my local store.
That's stupid.
Yeah. So, and what's really weird is I can't tell. Like, I want to go to my local Target and I want to go to Rite Aid down the street from me, because they all have the terminals that have the near field communication built into it.
Uh-huh.
I want to see what happens if I just try to do it, because I think there's a difference between. I'm wondering if there's a difference between like Walgreens saying they'll support it and basically saying every Walgreens has the terminal that works with it, and Target saying we're not going to support it because we're not going to put the near field communication thing in every one of our stores. I'm wondering if I could go in there and actually use it, or if it'd be like, nope, rejected. I haven't tried that out yet, because I do know, like I said, Rite Aid around the corner does support near field communication stuff. They say that they don't support Apple Pay at this time. But unless more people adopt it, I don't know, how much I'll actually use it, because even when I go to get fast food and stuff like that, I go through the drive-through, and nobody has a near field communication option for a drive-through. I guess like some McDonald's stuck one of their card readers on the end of a pole, and they'll stick it out like the drive-through window, so you can do it. But I was like, no, I'd rather just hand you my debit card and you can just swipe it and we'll be done with this.
Yeah.
It is really nice though, because your card information doesn't show up on the receipt.
Yep.
It's not. I mean, you do see where your card information is supposed to be, and it does do that little star, and you do see the last four, but it's not the last four of your credit card.
Yeah, it's some code that it's
linked to your phone.
Yeah.
And then it's like all tokenized from there. So it's actually really neat to see that. And like I said, it was really quick. I usually have my phone out with me when I'm going through a check online anyways, not being rude and obnoxious, like I'm on my phone ignoring the cashier. I just usually have it in my hand. So I'm excited for more places to get it, especially more places that I will actually, use.
Yes.
But I guess that's about it for me. Other than watching TV shows, but that's for another podcast at some point.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's going to be a lot. I talked with Mike off air about this. At some point over on Remote Control, we are actually going to spend a few podcast episodes of that show going through his train wreck list, and seeing what he can get rid of.
It's so hard. It really is. It's like chopping off a finger. It's like, oh man, will I miss this? I don't know if I'll miss this. I was kind of sad though. I found out today that I don't have to watch season 2 of The Bridge because it was canceled. So I never started. I got like a quarter of the way through the first episode of season 2, and I got distracted by watching another TV show because I wasn't in the right frame of mind to watch that show, and I never got back around to watching it. And it turns out today it was canceled. So I was like, well, guess I don't need to catch those episodes. So,
what about you, Steve? What have you been up to?
I've been watching my shows, and then being Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Arrow, Blacklist, Supernatural, Flash, of course. So I've been entertained with that, I'll say, because I've been watching it, all of them. Then there's I've been going to school and doing all that crap. We got to find out that I get to actually take day classes now.
Yay!
So that's kind of cool. So I'll be able to actually get some more classes I need done. Because I'm pretty much out of the BS classes that I didn't want to take in the first place. So I'm down to the actual stuff that I need to get the degree.
Very cool, very cool.
So, yeah, there's that. And then I will have, or they'll be out before this episode comes out, but reviews of 3 Blu-rays I got from courtesy of Warner Brothers. Young Justice, Batman the Brave and the Bold, Season 2, and Beware the Batman, Dark Justice, which is Season 1, Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
So,
very cool. Very
yep, got all that.
And as far as me right now, recently I'm just finally going over my final cartoon image that TV's Mr. Neil made up for me. So I've been going through that. I've been getting remote control done. I just did a review for the Pull Bag, which will be out before this episode, but we talked about John Layman's creator-owned series called Chew, and surprisingly, I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to, considering what it's about. Let's see, what else? Just did an interview with the co-creators of La La Land Records, M.V. Gerhardt and Matt Verbois. I am expecting Titan AE, Batman the Animated Series Volume 3, and I don't know what else they're going to send me for disc releases, and I've got to write those up, and in the middle of watching Arrow, Season 1 and 2. I had seen Season 1 while it was on TV. I'm going back to refresh, and I had not seen Season 2, so I'm going to go back and watch that. The Blacklist, Gotham's slowly picking up. It's not quite to fully level of enjoyment for me, but it's getting there. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be on a consistent basis.
It's hit train wreck status for me.
I'm kind of on the same boat as you on that one. I'm not quite sure what to expect from it. I'm not sure.
I realized what I wanted. I realized what I wanted while watching the 4th episode. Mm-hmm. I wanted, because it's a period piece-ish, I can't tell when it's set. It really depends on what scene you're looking at. I almost wanted something, because of the mob ties and stuff like that, I wanted, like, Boardwalk Empire, but with Batman characters. That's exactly what I want, because you've got the mob, you've got the underhanded, the paying, like the city officials and the bribing, and just, it was, I don't know if you guys have ever seen an episode or 2 or at all of Boardwalk Empire, but that's, watching episode 4, there were like just moments in there that were like, yeah, I can see the potential here, and that's what made me go, man, I really want this to be Boardwalk Empire with Batman characters. That said, I'm enjoying Penguin. He's kind of like the Sylar of the TV series right now. Mm. Like, Sylar in Heroes was a character that whenever he showed up, I would stop and pay attention because he was a really powerful character. Not saying the Penguin is a powerful character, but I'm just saying the portrayal here is really powerful. Mm-hmm. So whenever he's on screen, I will stop whatever I'm doing and pay attention, but as soon as he goes away, then I'm no longer paying attention to what's happening.
There are, at this point, 4 episodes into Gotham, there are 3 characters that I just don't care for. Fish Mooney and all her weird stuff, don't care. Nigma is so invisible, you can't even care about him.
I don't think you're supposed to. I think
you're right.
Well, I think what's going to end up happening is each season is going to highlight a different villain.
Yeah.
And I think season 1 is actually the Penguin, but unfortunately, they'll probably get stuck in that trap where the Penguin will become a really popular character, so they'll just base the entire series around him, and then it'll just drive itself into the ground.
Yep.
In case in point, that's what happened to Heroes.
Yeah. The other thing that there was a moment in the most recent episode where I kind of eased up on my hatred of Pertwee as Alfred, but I still don't like that guy portraying Alfred. I don't know. He's just not the Alfred I was expecting to get out of this series.
But he's also playing a younger Alfred watching a 12-year-old Bruce.
Yeah, I don't think your bit rate went really bad, but I don't think at least I haven't. I mean, you guys are more in the Batman stuff than I am. I have not seen a portrayal of a prolonged portrayal of young Bruce and young Alfred.
Yeah.
And
I haven't either.
Him coming to grips with, being a parent all of a sudden.
So
I kind of get that.
Are you ready for Sunset Overdrive, Mike?
I was debating between Sunset Overdrive or Bayonetta 2.
Mm-hmm.
And since I don't have anyone to play games with on the Xbox One, or I should say a friend of mine doesn't have the means at the moment to purchase Sunset Overdrive so we can play together, I decided to pass on that, and my wife actually bought me Bayonetta 2. I get to pick that up next Tuesday, so I'm excited about that. I want to play Sunset Overdrive, but because of where they dropped it in the release schedule, I have a very strong feeling that it's going to be $30 or $40 on Black Friday, because this game is going to get swept under the rug faster than any other game I can think of right now.
Really?
It's a single platform game, and it's releasing like 2 weeks before the biggest games of the year. And
so you're talking about Sunset, right?
Yes. I think Sunset Overdrive is going to get swept under the rug like hardcore.
That kind of, I don't know, that kind of disappoints me, because just from the trailers and the gameplay I've seen, the way I look at it is it's Grand Theft Auto with zombies. Like, it's that kind of gameplay where it's that open world and you can pretty much do whatever you want to, and it's really got me interested to see some gameplay, some actual, like if you streamed it or whatever else, and that's kind of a shame that it's just going to get overlooked because the holidays are coming up.
I just think it's going to get, you have, I don't think there's anything big next week, but I know after that we're in November, and you're going to get Call of Duty, you're going to get Halo, you're going to get, you're going to Call of Duty, Halo, Assassin's Creed, The Crew. Like, there's a number of big cross-platform games that people are going to be able to play with their friends, and this is a brand new IP, from a studio that was traditionally a Sony studio, and for whatever reason, Microsoft ponied up enough money to have them develop a game for their system, which is fine. Microsoft didn't own, or Sony didn't own Insomniac Games. But I really feel like it's just going to get it. I feel like this was the wrong time for that game to come out.
So, would it have been better if it came out this summer?
I think a spring summer release would have been a lot better for this, because it would have been by itself. And I've seen like very little market. Granted, I don't watch TV, so I don't know about this. But in like all the websites I go to and stuff like that, I've seen very little marketing for this game, which means Microsoft isn't putting a whole lot behind it.
I've seen several commercials, but it's maybe once or twice a day that I see them. So in a 24-hour period, they don't run that much. So, oh well.
Like, I feel bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sweeping it under the rug. I'm just kind of like, because it's getting swept under the rug, I'm just gonna grab it when it's $30 to $40 on Black Friday.
Yeah.
Like, I still want it and I still want to support it. I'm just not gonna run out and buy it day one because mainly I'm just gonna end up playing it by myself.
Yeah, that's true.
So, do we want to get into some news?
Sure.
I'm just going to kind of, if you guys see something in it that piques your interest, go ahead and bring it up. But I'm going to start off with this one. I kind of thought it was interesting. One of the guys that does The Simpsons wrote how he feels it should end if it ever did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys had seen that or not, but
is this the one that's sick? Isn't
what one?
Isn't one of their showrunners ill or something like that? I thought Al Jean had some medical problems recently. Yeah,
I don't know. This,
yeah.
I mean, this has to do with him, but I don't.
Yeah.
But he said that he hopes that The Simpsons will have a circular narrative.
Mm-hmm.
His idea is that the ideal situation involves harkening back to the very first episode of the series that aired in 1989, which happens to be a Christmas special. And he's saying The Simpsons roasting on an open fire is the episode, and he says the ending he has in mind is they're opening up a Christmas present that opens up to the first episode. So the entire series is a loop with no end.
See,
which I don't know why.
I don't like, and I've said this multiple times over the last couple of years, specifically when the 25th season started airing. I really wish that for the final episode, they probably will never do this, let them all grow up, have some sort of flashback where they go back to the original family home, where they all get together in some big family reunion or something, but have the three children actually grown up to end the series.
I'm not a Simpsons guy. That's why I'm keeping my mouth shut.
I'm not huge into it anymore either.
I was never into it.
But I'm just kind of curious, anyway, of how they would end it if they were to. But I guess moving on, the CW gives full season orders to The Flash.
I'm kind of surprised Flash didn't have one to begin with.
I'm kind of surprised that too, considering all the information that leaked and the fact that the pilot had been floating around forever.
Well, there's the pilot, there's the crossover episodes, there's like 3 or 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it seems like maybe they knew it, but now it's like official. I mean, yeah. It just feels like if you're going to throw that kind of language around, you best well know if you're going to be canceled or not, you know? So.
Well, that's like Gotham just got a full season pickup. I mean, they had 16 episodes in the can or whatever it is, and
I wonder how much of that is because of the Netflix money.
I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you. Steve, just remind me, because I don't remember. Did we talk about the Boomerang crap last week?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure I remember. But I mean, hey, full season pickup for Flash. That's great. It's better than. See, my only worry is when they do news stories like this, or it's got a full season pickup. What if you get to episode 17 and they're like, well, it's not doing so well in the ratings, so bye. It's like, ugh.
That happens.
I know.
All right. Google is planning on having testing a broadband wireless technology. I don't know if any of you guys noticed that either.
Wait,
But I guess
wait. They're doing a broadband wireless technology, don't we?
That's what they're trying to file for. They want to test a what they're calling a millimeter wave technology. Which I don't know what the hell that means.
I think I heard about this, but it's not. Unless this is something different. I read an article earlier that the FCC was readying 5G.
Oh Lord!
They were making moves so that you could have gigabit Ethernet on your phone.
Well, I think it's basically the same thing as what they're talking about.
So it'll be interesting to see if that happens. I mean, first of all, LTE doesn't even live up to its promise.
It's terrible.
It is and it isn't. It might be where you are, but it's not where I am. I mean, I know we live. I mean, when I'm in downtown, I get like 50 megabits per second on my phone, and that's when I'm moving. But the theory behind LTE or 4G was supposed to be like 100 to 150 megabits per second while moving, and like 300 megabytes while stationary, which is, unheard of. Like, nobody has that. So, I mean, the tech is there, but for some reason, I don't know what's holding it back. I don't know if they're using the right antennas or the cell phones can't actually do it or what it is, but the promise of, LTE has not been fully met, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was interesting though that they're, it's a combination of their wired, wireless, broadband, gigabit speeds, but being that AT&T is already working on gigabit internet, and I'm a current subscriber, I just wish that they'd get their damn home phone or home internet and TV in my area.
Yeah.
I hate Comcast.
The problem is AT&T's gigabit Ethernet. Like, I haven't seen prices for their gigabit Ethernet, but I know Google's is like $100 for gigabit internet and all your TV channels.
Yeah, it was so funny the other day, since you guys mentioned AT&T. Middle of a Sunday afternoon, probably 4 o'clock, a couple weeks ago. I mentioned this last week, but didn't come up. The AT&T Uverse people came out here and knocked on my door, and I'm like, yeah, we already have Time Warner. We're set. Oh, well, the sheet says this address and this apartment. I'm like, we didn't call you. Sorry. You might want to check upstairs. They just moved over here, so I don't know. It's weird. I've heard nothing but bad things about AT&T Uverse, and while Time Warner's DVR and digital cable it's all right. It's satisfactory for the price I pay. It's not the best in the world, but by no means is it the worst. But I've heard nothing but bad things about AT&T Uverse.
Well, see, there's different levels of Uverse. Like that's the problem. AT&T has kind of smudged the Uverse name a little bit. There's just different tiers of it. Sometimes you can get Uverse and it's just a DSL connection. Other times you can get Uverse and it's a fiber connection, which is the way it's supposed to be. But regardless of which one you get, your bandwidth, what you're doing on the internet directly impacts the quality of your TV.
Yeah, no, I don't want. No, that's no way in hell I would ever get AT&T then.
So, because like what happens is it's internet based TV. Like it's what's weird is Uverse streams its TV just like you would be streaming Netflix. It's all done over the internet. And so everything's coming in on the same thing. What the router tries to do is like their router, they actually send you one megabit, 100 megabits to your house, I believe. And then you choose how you're going to like allocate that. So like 30 of it, I think, is taken off right off the top for your TV stuff. And then you get to choose like if you want, do you want to pay for the other 70 or do you only want 18 of the internet speed? You get to pick your tier. But if you're doing a lot of heavy downloading, consistent streaming and stuff like that, it can, or you start to record 4 things at one time, that bit rate gets divvied up among all those recordings. But if you're just watching like one thing, like it's still really good HD. It's still a better HD picture than Comcast will give you. And the way that Comcast works with their internet, and I'm going to assume Time Warner and Charter is the same, the inbound signal this is kind of confusing. The inbound signal to your home carries your television. The outbound line on the coaxial cable carries your internet. So they're two separate pipes coming into your house on the same cable. So I think the outbound one can go either way. I just think they to them it's outbound traffic, so they say it's the outbound one that they use. But I think either channel can go back and forth. That's why they sometimes with like the newer equipment, if you put a splitter in, like some of the older splitters that you can put in your line will only allow communication to go one way.
Right.
And then, so like your DVR or your set-top box might not be able to call back to Comcast for information, so then your programming guide will run out. Because you have like the wrong splitter in your house. Anyways, that's, just stuff I've picked up and switching back and forth between AT&T and Comcast.
I just want to switch away from Comcast because I'm sick of their damn pricing and the fact that it's so inconsistent. But also, all that's available in my area is either the 768 or the 1.5 megabyte for AT&T. So I'm pretty much stuck with Comcast for the moment. Even though they have a building, like an actual like big building out here. And it's actually funny because if I had Sprint out here, I'd actually have decent cell phone service. But because I have AT&T, I have diddly squat.
It's weird that you switched providers and then moved and then ended up with the same service
Well,
you had.
the thing is the city I lived in before didn't have the option for AT&T either. And I had Sprint there, and the service sucked there for Sprint, but AT&T worked great out there. And then when I moved here, it was the opposite. But I still have no AT&T access. I mean, I have access, but it's not good enough for me to switch. It just, I don't know. It drives me nuts. I want something that's different. At least when I lived in Grand Blanc area, I had the option to switch. So they would constantly work with me on the price or the features of my package, whereas currently Comcast has screwed me out of just about every feature of this package that I was supposed to have. Just magically took it away. So
that's just crazy.
Yep. So that's why I want to get away from them, but I don't have an option right now. Jumping into some random crap. James Cameron tries to explain his way of how Arnold is still relevant in Terminator 5.
Which completely makes sense. And that's not sarcasm. It makes a lot of sense.
I actually kind of agree with him in this sense. He's the only guy that actually understands the whole Terminator thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it does make a lot of sense, and thankfully it's only him that's doing it, and not somebody else.
Cameron's not doing the new Terminator.
He's not doing it. He's loosely attached.
Oh.
He's not even, he's only attached in so much as he's given him that information. I don't think he's an EP.
Wow,
He's in an advisory role.
Yeah.
So if they need help, on figuring something out, they call him. But other than that,
It has
he's
J.K.
not.
Simmons. That's all right with me.
Wait, what?
J.K. Simmons is in the new Terminator.
That's awesome.
By the way, I really like Terminator Salvation.
I've actually never seen it.
I like it. Especially, like I said, I think I mentioned this a while ago when we were recording. I never owned the Terminator movies, so I went and bought all 4 of them in one weekend, and I marathoned them all in one day. And watching them that way, the Salvation makes a lot more sense. So, anyways,
did you see the information about? And I hate jumping back to this, but the Batman versus Superman
Yes.
about potential Carrie Kelly Robin.
Whatever. They
I'm
want
okay with this.
If they want to do it, they want to do it. It makes sense if they do it because it's an older Batman. They're going for the Dark Knight Returns Batman, so that makes sense that they would use Carrie Kelly. Honestly, I think I've seen the damn, and I don't say damn as to meaning bad, but I've seen the damn Cap 3 news more than I've seen the Batman versus Superman news this week.
Well, since you brought it up, and since we were having that conversation about Iron Man 3, what do you think about the news for Iron Man, or not Iron Man, might as well be, but
Cap 3.
Captain America 3.
Anyone else want to go first? Because I've been
Go
having
ahead.
conversations about this at work.
Take it away.
I'm fine with this. I'm completely fine with this, but at some point, like, post Avengers, like, I feel like the title of a Marvel movie no longer means anything. Like, Cap 3 is Captain America 3 only because it's the third Captain America movie, and it will be billed as such, but it really isn't just like a Captain America movie anymore. Like, and I don't feel like, because Marvel's movies they're all telling there is one coherent story going on in all the Marvel movies. Even no matter how faint they are, and phase 2 has been very light on the connection between things. I feel like the easiest way to explain this is like Marvel is working on a season of movies, like if they're all like made for TV, if you will, because they have like 20 movies in like planned out. Like they've done 10, and there's 10 more coming. So if you've ever downloaded a TV show online, you'll notice like when you go to find it, they tell you like the season and what episode it is. So it'll be like SO1 E11, so that's season 1, episode 11. So Age of Ultron isn't really Avengers 2. It's just Marvel Cinematic Universe, season 1, episode 11. And so it doesn't, they've worked it out so well that all these characters can cross over from one movie to the next and inherit someone else's movie, that there really is no more Captain America movie. There isn't gonna, really the only guy I can think of, because we haven't seen what's going to happen yet, is Thor. Thor seems to always have his own movie. Yeah, Cap had a small cameo in, Thor 2 and everyone laughed at it, but it's not the same thing. Like when he shows up in someone else's movie or someone else shows up in his, then yeah, his will cease to be Thor movies. But looking at it that way, as just Marvel movies being part of like one big thing, it's just, Captain America 2 was just part 10, and Avengers is part 11, and Cap 3 is part 12. Looking at it that way, instead of as just being like Captain America 3, Kevin Feige's comments to fans wanting female superheroes, well, I still find the comments to be kind of dodgy in the fact that, they're just, he said that, we do have a Black Widow movie. It's called Captain America 2. And, she was also in Avengers. She was a big part of Avengers and stuff like that. I feel like those comments taken like that, they sound kind of cheap. It's like, why can't Black Widow have her own movie now? You know that you could do one. You just put a talking tree that says one word on screen and made almost $1 billion.
Yeah.
Why can't you make a movie with a female superhero in it? Why has a Ms. Marvel movie not been announced yet? Like, where are these things? And I think Kevin Feige saw the bigger picture of what was being planned when he said, Captain America 2 is a Black Widow movie. Like, she is a big part of that. Like, that's not just Cap's movie. He headlines it, yes, but Black Widow is definitely, she's not like a cameo or anything. She's definitely a part of that movie.
So more or less, these titles are actually just plain useless at this point.
They're for marketing purposes. Like it's so that you can sell them. It's kind of like the way that comic books are sold, right? You can see you'll see like a Captain America book, but you might get like a small like crossover. So Spider-Man will show up in a Captain America book, but it's still a Captain America book. It doesn't become like Captain America and Spider-Man. It's still Captain America.
Yeah.
And I just think Marvel has, like, I think there's a board. Obviously, there's a board somewhere at Marvel that has all of their plans on it, and I think there's some master thing at the top, like Infinity Gauntlet. Like they're just trying to tell the Infinity Gauntlet story.
Yeah.
And because they launched all these movies off of like everything kind of spun out of Phase 1, right, where you had Iron Man and Cap and Thor. So you want to keep making movies on those, and you want to let the audience know that these are linked to those movies. So you're not going to like not call it Captain America. It's still going to be Captain America 3. But when you sit down and look at it, it's basically going to be, a sub, the next Avengers is basically what Cap 3 is going to probably end up being. I just that's my whole thing. This is what I want out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I want, the Shield presence to link everything. I liked Agent Coulson linking everything together in Phase 1. I like the stuff that's happening in Agents of Shield. I loved the crossover between, Winter Soldier and, Agents of Shield and stuff like that. That all worked out so great. And one of the things that I knock on Iron Man 3 for is not having enough ties to the largest cinematic universe, after what was set up before. And as I said before we started recording, Thor kind of gets a pass because Thor is an otherworldly character. Like it feels like his parts, like when his stuff does take place on Earth, it's like those parts are like way too quick for anyone to respond to.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, I feel like it's with Iron Man 3. I understand what you're saying, and that's fine. That's your opinion. The way I view Iron Man 3 is it's basically going off of the end of Avengers, where Nick Fury says they'll go off and they'll do their own things for a little while, and then when we need them, they'll come back. Yep. The way I view Iron Man 3 is within the end of Phase 1 and it beginning Phase 2. Is you don't really need any continuity bits. Yeah, sure. S.H.I.E.L.D. should have been there in the background somewhere, like even in the end credit scene, instead of having the end credit scene being, oh, hey, he's been talking to Banner the whole time, and Banner isn't a psychologist. Like, they could have used the end credit scene in Iron Man 3 a lot better, but I feel as if we were just shown Tony's aftermath and his dealing with his psychological issues as his time away from the Avengers, and then we led into what was after that, Cap?
No, it was Thor.
Otherworldly doesn't count.
See, the thing is Iron Man, like I said, it brought up AIM, and then AIM doesn't appear anywhere else. Yeah. And Extremis was picked up in season 1 of, they used that as like a thing in season 1 of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it kind of just fell by the wayside, like the whole Extremis thing did. And I remember at the time when Iron Man 3 came out and people were having the same questions that I had, Marvel Studios came out and said the reason for S.H.I.E.L.D.'s absence will be explained in Captain America. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, we'll wait and see. And then when it got closer to Captain America, they're like, oh, Captain America takes place 2 years after Iron Man 3. So I was like, wait a minute.
What? Yeah.
You just okay, now there's, why was there not like a phone call or just something? Like, I'm not even saying it has to be like, it had to be, I really don't want to get into this again, but it didn't have to be like, just a refresher here. I wasn't looking for S.H.I.E.L.D.'s involvement the way it was in Iron Man 2, even though I appreciate S.H.I.E.L.D.'s involvement in Iron Man 2 because it was like the seed. It was like dumping water on like, the seed that grew the giant beanstalk, right? It was like, there it is. All your ties are right here. There's a few scenes where, especially when they're going back and they're going through the wreckage of Tony's house, when everyone thinks he's dead, like, why were there not S.H.I.E.L.D. agents on the ground, like sifting for clues for all this stuff? Or the fact that when he's, kind of found to be alive and the president's involved, it's like you've got a superhero, a superpowered being going out of his way to help, S.H.I.E.L.D. was there to monitor them. Like, yeah, they went to their own separate corners of the universe and stuff like that, but you can't tell me for 1 minute that S.H.I.E.L.D. wasn't going to keep an eye on them.
Right.
So that's my only thing. It wouldn't even have to be like a big thing like it was with Iron Man 2 or anything like that. It feels the most disconnected from all of them.
Maybe Ultron will tie everything together. I mean,
Maybe
It's going to be a cluster.
well, they did pretty damn well with the first one.
there was the thing is with the first Avengers, and I have not seen anything or know anything else that anyone doesn't know about Age of Ultron except for I'm trying to piece together the pieces from what they've given us, and I'm not seeing it like I did with going into Avengers. Like Phase 1 was so clean cut. You knew who the villain was, where that villain was coming from. You knew what I can never figure out what the word for the thing is. Like it's the Tesseract, right? But it's like MacGuffin. It's like that's the thing that does
the cosmic
everything.
cube.
Yeah, but that's like the thing that does everything. Like that's what everybody wants. You knew what those things were going into Avengers. And with Avengers 2, I feel, and this goes back to it no longer, they break it down into phases, but with Captain America 3 adding Iron Man in a major way, this just kind of reinforces the fact that I think the phase thing kind of goes out the window. Like they use the Avengers movies as like bookends, but I don't feel like Avengers 2 bookends phase 2. I feel like it's another movie that takes place inside of phase 2. Like, oh, we just need to see them all together again. Like, because there hasn't been any mention of Ultron, although if you pay attention, you can kind of see where it might come from. Plus, you have to introduce the twins, and the rest of like Hydra has to be exposed, and that hasn't happened yet. Like, there's so much more that has to in my head, just from all the breadcrumbs that they've laid out and all the little trails that they've got going. So much has to happen in Age of Ultron that, it's almost like it's that kind of thing where it's like, if it's not a 2.5 hour movie, I might be a little bummed going into it.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe it'll be a 3.5 hour movie.
I remember Josh said he cut like 30 minutes from Avengers to get it down to 2 hours. So we'll see how that works. But Cap was 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like it.
No, it did not.
I feel that movie was really strong for a Phase 2 film.
It was the best of Phase 2. Well, I say the best of Phase 2 because I still believe Guardians is a follow-up to Phase 1.
Really?
I see it as the epilogue to Phase 1.
It kind of bookends the Avengers.
Oh, okay.
Like, yes, it was shot and filmed during Phase 2 and came out during Phase 2, but I've always looked at it because they said it was going to deal with Thanos and the rings and stuff like that, which has been kind of outside of Thor, has been a non-thing in Phase 2, that it felt like more of an epilogue. It's like, here's more of who Thanos is. Here's more of who that guy was that was in that chair. And these are the people that exist in his world, in his corner of the galaxy. Now that I'm not taking anything away from Guardians of the Galaxy, because I love Guardians of the Galaxy.
Wait, since we're talking about this, we have to talk about another piece of technology that Guardians of the Galaxy is bringing back. A few months ago, apparently they were gonna release the awesome mixtape, whatever it is, Volume 1 on vinyl.
They did that.
Yeah, and now coming up next month, they're going to release it on cassette.
Where are people going to play this?
I know.
My brother commented on that one.
That's the first thing that I thought of when I like the vinyl. I get that because vinyl's making a comeback. But where are people going to play a cassette? My car
Old
doesn't
ass
even
cars, boom boxes.
I don't even know what those are anymore, Steve.
I mean, and honestly, like for me personally, if I was going to get it, I have not seen Guardians yet. I don't know if I will. And currently, the theaters that are around me no longer have it. At least the ones that I can get to on the bus no longer have it available. Honestly, if I was going to get the soundtrack to Guardians, I would just buy it from iTunes.
That's what I did.
I don't. I love getting CD soundtracks from La La Land Records. I love doing the reviews for that company. They're an amazing company, and they do a lot of archival material, and that's great. But those are pretty much the only CDs I have at this point. I can't even remember the last CD I actually bought. Well, yeah, I can. It was probably Blackstone Cherry's album that came out this year. But anyway, it's one of those things where if I'm going to buy a piece of music, whether it's a single, whether it's an album, whatever, I'm going to get it from iTunes. I have no use for a cassette. Even vinyl, even though it's making a comeback, I don't have a record player. I haven't had a record player since my parents were not divorced from each other back when I was 2 years old. So, I think it's great that they're trying to bring back this dinosaur aged marketing technology, but still, I mean, what are people going to do? Go out to Radio Shack and actually buy cassette players just to listen to this thing on cassette? Seriously?
Question.
Yes.
Is Guardians of the Galaxy going to end up being this year's Pacific Rim for you?
No, because Guardians of the Galaxy is all original characters to me. The trailer did not look... No, I'm saying to me, because I've never read any of the comics. I don't know anything about it. No. Pacific Rim, and I mainly blame the trailer and the trailer people for this, it looked like G.I. Joe meets Transformers. It looked like a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover. In the trailers is what it looked like to me. And I know that's the people at the trailer company's fault. That's not the movie's fault. No, I do want to see it.
Maybe it's your fault.
Oh, shut up.
Because I didn't see that at all.
Well, because I didn't see it as a Transformers movie. I saw it more of a Mech Warrior type thing, but...
I saw it as giant robots beating the crap out of some giant monsters, and that was enough for me. Anyways, I don't want to dig up old wounds. I was just curious.
No. I do have plans to see Guardians. I just, right now, it's, probably just going to have to wait till the media release.
I unfortunately have not seen it yet. I still plan on seeing it. It looked really good.
December 9th. I'm excited. I'm going to bring it home and watch that thing.
Is that when it's on Blu-ray when it comes out?
Yep.
I'm
wondering.
I can hear Steve's brain's gears turning and turning and turning.
You know me too well.
Yes, I know.
I'm excited for it because I don't know. I don't know how many times I'll actually watch it in a day. I don't know. The only movie there was that I've actually watched multiple times in one day was Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right.
I didn't see it. It was 2003 when it came out. I didn't see it that summer. I had a horrible movie summer that summer, just because I was having a really bad summer. Anyways, when I came home for Christmas break, Pirates of the Caribbean was on DVD at Family Video. So I was like, you know what? Fine, let's see what the hell everyone's talking about. I watched that thing 3 times back to back. I was like, this is really freaking good. I am enjoying this. Let's watch it again.
Now you're talking the first film, right?
Yes, the first one. And I'm sorry, I will go out on a limb. I like the second one, but I see the second one as both 2 and 3. Because they are one movie.
Right.
With 2 different titles. So I cannot watch Dead Man's Chest without watching At World's End.
It's just a continuation. It's one film.
Yep, exactly. And for anyone that cares, I also view The Matrix that way. It's like Matrix 1 and Matrix 2. There is no Matrix 2 and 3. So,
like all these 2-parter films that keep coming out.
And I'm okay with it. I am. I just think that sometimes that can hurt a movie because people will take them as 2 separate movies. Case in point, Pirates of the Caribbean and The Matrix.
And Hobbit.
Yeah, well...
Three movies out of one book that was smaller than Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I know. But he also adapted a lot of the Silmarillion. But there's also a lot in that movie that doesn't need to be there. And really bad special effects.
2 hours of walking.
It's okay. It's really pretty walking.
In a straight line.
Sure.
In HD.
Oh, yeah. You really know
so
how to
since
sell
we're
a movie.
already on the Avengers kick right there, they're going to debut the trailer next week.
We'll see.
On Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Is it the 2 minute 30 second one, or is it just like a 30-second teaser?
The article I saw said teaser.
That means it's like a 30-second TV spot.
So boo. It'll be the same damn pictures we've seen over and over.
Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if they look completely different from what everyone's seen.
It'll be the SDCC.
There'll probably just be someone holding a camera over that collector's poster, the one that you put together by collecting all the different posters.
And it'll just slide sideways,
Yep.
and it'll play some ominous music and maybe have Ultron's voice in the background. You're going to find a bunch of fake ones. People are dubbing the blacklist over top.
That's okay. I can do with some auto-tune James Spader.
Yeah. James Spader's freaking man.
As much as I love him in the Blacklist as Red Reddington, I don't know. I wish they would have gone with the whole thing that Jarvis becomes Ultron. Because I really wanted to hear Paul Bettany as Ultron.
Well, he's still going to be Vision, so...
Yeah, that's true.
Still get to hear
He'll
him.
be influenced by Ultron.
That's true.
So... I think... Final bit of news. Christian Bale's playing Steve Jobs.
Is that official?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it is, but I could be wrong.
Because I know that like Conan got a hold of it and made a really funny video.
It says he's set to play, which
Okay.
doesn't actually say he is, but
It's okay.
but
I
it,
like Christian
it looks
Bale.
like they wanted Christian Bale from the get-go, and then something happened, and then they went through like a list of other people, and then it came back full circle.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it actually. It says he's now in negotiations.
Yeah, everyone's in negotiations.
Yeah, everybody's in negotiations. So
Speaking of negotiations, my favorite casting rumor that I've heard in the last like 3 days was, and one I will continue to champion until Marvel dashes my hopes, is Keanu Reeves as Doctor Strange.
I would actually get behind that.
I want that. Like every part of my being wants that.
I think he could play that weird, ominous character.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Absolutely. That would
But-
be awesome.
I think
don't know
we'll
if
hear
you-
something after John Wick.
Yeah.
If it opens as successfully as everyone thinks it will, I think we'll hear something.
Did you hear the, or at least see part of the rumor thing about Chewbacca might have a robotic arm in Star Wars 7?
I have actually been really successful in avoiding all Star Wars related anything. I think this might be one of the movies I actually go into blind.
Well, they had two different versions floating around picture-wise, so who knows, but I watch like the Nerdist News every few days when they have it, more so because it's funny seeing some of the sarcastic things that they say about some of the stuff, but yeah, so they were joking about that, but I don't know if it's true or not. I just thought it was kind of cool.
You guys think there's any news to the rumor of Marvel and Sony working out co-custody of Spider-Man?
I think it'd be interesting if they did.
I think that Sony needs it more than Marvel needs it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it would be nice. I mean, now, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't he somewhat of a big part of Civil War? Like, you can't. Go ahead.
He has like the biggest standout moment in Civil War
Okay.
because there's this whole part where he reveals who he is to everybody, and that's like probably the biggest man moment, of Civil War. Because J. Jonah Jameson actually drops his cigar. I'm not sure if he did or not. I just would imagine that would be what happens. But I know that during there were reports that between Avengers and Amazing Spider-Man, there was rumored talks of them sharing Avengers Tower or Stark Tower and the Oscorp Tower between both movies, so that it would be the same New York in both movies.
Yeah.
But what happened there was they didn't finalize the look of the buildings for them to be shared. So neither movie got either one of the buildings. So I would imagine that
Avengers got Stark Tower.
Well, no, it got Stark Tower. It didn't get Oscorp. That's what I'm saying.
They didn't get each other's buildings. Yeah.
Right. So they because they weren't finalized in time for them to end up in said movies. So obviously there may have been some talks going, and I think after Amazing Spider-Man 2, love or hate that movie, Sony doesn't seem to know what to do with Spider-Man anymore.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
As is evident by them announcing spin-offs, and like it seems like a week can't go by without them at least announcing a new movie, like a new spin-off movie, or changing a release date.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, wow, man, come on. So I would imagine that they're probably in serious discussions for, reaching out to use the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a crutch to prop up their own franchise.
What else does Sony have right now? I mean, just in general, not specifically superhero, but what other large franchises do they have at this point?
Men in Black. Don't they still have Bad Boys? Isn't that Sony?
Yeah, I think so.
It's hard to tell because there's Sony, there's Columbia Pictures, there's TriStar, they're Ghostbusters. Well, too.
Columbia,
they're also Ghostbusters.
Yeah, Columbia is TriStar now. TriStar folded. Columbia bought TriStar a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, I can I think the only major franchise that I know that kind of is a linchpin for a film studio is Bond and MGM. Honestly, the rest of it, And
Sony also distributes Bond movies.
They might distribute them, but MGM is the main studio.
Yeah, it's actually a co-production. They did something like Sony's distributed all of the Daniel Craig Bonds.
Right.
With MGM's help, and I think Fox actually distributes them for home video. That's how jacked up that series is.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if something like that, happens, and good on Sony for at least opening up the sandbox and playing nice, because one of the things I would like to see, like on the screen, is, I don't know if you guys have ever read it, but it's a Wolverine series, Enemy of the State.
I think that's coming up this coming March in Marvelous March for the Pullback.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite Wolverine stories, and they could totally work that into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Except for the simple fact that I don't think Fox wants to play with Marvel.
Yeah, no.
So you'll never see it.
I just don't get. I mean, I understand Marvel can't spread themselves so damn thin. Like if they had completely outright had Spidey back, had X-Men and Wolverine back, and add that on top of everything else that they do. I just don't see them being able to do all of it, so I'm kind of glad a little bit, but not really, that Fox is still holding on to the X-Men. And
I think what they want to do, I mean, I agree with you. Like, one studio, I think Marvel, especially since all these movies are in production at once, like, I think that would be an enormous task for Marvel Studios to make, the X-Men movies and the Spider-Man movies and stuff like that. But I think, like, working with the studios that have those properties to just help get the ties and make everything bigger, so that, like, maybe Fox does a Wolverine movie called Enemy of the State, and they can bring Captain America over because he's a big part of that. And Fox already has the Fantastic Four, and they're another big part of it. They also had Daredevil, but Marvel has them now back too. So there's a lot of things that you could, if the studios would play nice with each other with these properties, they could all benefit from painting a larger picture.
They won't, though. I mean, in the long run, they won't.
But Fox will, because Fox doesn't need to.
Yeah.
Sony definitely does.
Yeah. What do you think? Just kind of jumping off, and this is related, but it's not in the actual script. I've seen stories recently for Comic News that Marvel is bringing back Secret Wars next year. They're bringing back some sort of Civil War and all this and all that. Do we think that they are going to do a hard reboot like DC did?
No. If anything, it's going to be. I have yet to read an article about this. I've seen the headlines.
Mm-hmm.
I've yet to read an article about this. I think it's going to be something like the 10-year anniversary of these things. Maybe like they might look at it like there might be issues like what are the major ramifications from Civil War. There might be like a series that kind of like recaps the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when, just as an example, Age of Apocalypse, that came out in 1993 or 94, and for the 10-year anniversary of that, they did this whole thing where they opened up the Age of Apocalypse universe again, because when that series ended, everyone assumed that universe collapsed on itself and didn't exist anymore. And when it came time to do like a 10th anniversary thing, they did this 2-parter in an X-Men comic called Exiles, where Exiles is a group of superheroes that jumps from one reality to the next. So you get to see like maybe there's a Doctor Doom who has Iron Man's armor, or like, you know, a Hulk who is, you know, basically it's like Planet Hulk, but he's on, you know, Earth, you know, and he's like the ruler of everything. Anyways, they can hop between these realities and these different universes. And they took the Exiles comic and they did a 2-part where they slid into the Age of Apocalypse universe, which everybody thought was gone.
Right.
So out of that, because they opened it up and showed readers that, hey, it still exists, they actually did a 6-part 10th anniversary Age of Apocalypse, which basically just showed you what was going on in that universe, you know, now. Like, the universe still exists, it's still ongoing, it's still happening. It's just there isn't a regular series that exists there. And I think that, you know, it might just be a 10th anniversary kind of celebration of, you know, Civil War. Like, you'll get recaps and stuff like that, and maybe you'll get like a retelling. I don't know, but I don't think it's like a Marvel. I haven't seen Marvel do the New 52 thing, and all the time I've been reading it. Like, they will. I mean, there's stuff that they do. Like, House of M is directly responsible for like the last 10 years of Marvel Comics.
Right.
And that is, for them to rely on that event from 10 years ago still today, that's huge. Like, they didn't just drop it from continuity. That's still a thing. So
yeah. I don't want to get Steve riled up, but there's rumors of them either combining the pre and post New 52, or
I don't care. They already shot themselves in the foot when they promoted it.
doing another reboot.
I already
Would it be
quit
New 53?
collecting. I quit collecting DC. It turned out to be the biggest, largest cluster F that I've ever seen. Because they had these guys that are constantly they don't know what the hell they're doing. They can't stick to anything, and so they're pulling from past things that were pre-New 52 instead of just doing a true reboot. So I just prefer stay away from DC at this point, especially now that they're like, oh, everybody has to end their stories because we're going to do something different now.
Yeah, that's.
I'm shying away from DC. I think if I end up getting into anything, it's going to be Marvel at this point, because I can't get behind the garbage that's going on right now.
Yeah, I mean,
And
at this point, I'm really only there for He-Man and the Masters of the Universe at this point, really, which isn't even their property; it's a licensed property. I just, as I said in the earlier part of the show, I just finished reading 2 trades from an Image Comics series that I really love called Chew. Honestly, at this point, IDW has my heart as far as publishing goes, as far as comics go. I am kind of dipping back into Marvel a little bit because I am reading Access, Avengers and X-Men Access. That's interesting. There's 2 issues of that so far, and It's pretty damn good. It's the first time I've read Rick Remender, so I don't have the same preconceived notions that a lot of people do about his work, so kind of digging on that. But I don't know, it just... all these... like, Marvel has always done, let's cancel a series so we can reboot it at number 1 to make buku bucks, which is fine, and I'm kind of glad they haven't done a hard reboot of their universe, but... and like you've said before, Mike, they have the Ultimate Universe, and they have all these other universes that they can play in and do whatever they want to with without having to touch the 616 universe, and that's great. I just don't know if rebooting if DC reboots the end of this year or even beginning of next year, that would mean that the New 52 only lasted 4 years.
What would have been really nice is that the New 52 had only lasted 52 weeks.
Yeah, then it would have been like a true comic storyline. Like when they kill a character off, so they kill the whole universe. Oh, retcon.
Well, what I don't like...
The Green Lantern Guardians reset the universe back to what it was a year ago.
Yeah. What I don't like about the whole... God, the whole reboot thing is like, it just... like, that's what you... oh, no. It's not the reboot thing. What I don't like about the whole 52-week thing or the special event, like take Batman Eternal or Future's End or whatever the hell, these special event series that they have going on, the core storylines, like, okay, Batman Eternal and the main Batman series. Batman 35 takes place after Eternal ends, but Eternal doesn't end until March of 2015. Why are you doing stories that end after stories we haven't even been able to read yet? Sorry, I'm going on a diatribe, but go ahead, Steve. You can wrap it up. It just frustrates me. Like, I really want to jump onto the Snyder's Endgame arc, and he just come to find out that it's a story that takes place after events that I haven't read yet because they haven't been published yet. That's just stupid.
Yeah, I'm not commenting because I don't have much love for DC anymore at this point. I'm gonna stick with what little bit I can actually get enjoyment out of and say screw it to the rest. So I was in a conversation earlier this week, just very short. With somebody, and I was talking, or I retweeted a comment about Warner Brothers Justice League plans kill DC television and movie crossovers, and one of my friends that I do fandubs with basically said the audience who thinks that the Flash and Flash Gordon are the same character, right? Because then the audience are morons. Because they were talking about, trying to differentiate between actors from different elements of the franchise and whatnot. But and then the site that I posted it from, comicbook.com, sends a message and says, you realize that the original actor for the Flash often tells a story that he didn't know the difference between those two when he was offered the Flash. And then the guy's like, that's his problem. Then that actor's like, oops. Like, jumped in on the conversation. I don't know. It was stupid, but it was funny because I don't usually like being on the ass end of a conversation that's sitting there ragging on an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as for the question that I'm going to ask, why it's not on there. Oh, there it is. What's an item you've kept for ages that's kind of geeky that isn't a toy?
Oh.
Which we can answer that next week.
Oh, okay.
It's for the listeners, man. It's for the listeners. We all got places to go. All right. So, anything else before we close it out?
Nope. I'm good.
Okay.
Yep, same here.
All right. Yep. Don't worry, I'm not pissing anybody off this week.
And the ratings plummet.
Where's my iTunes reviews, man? So want to interact with the show, you can get a hold of us in the following ways. You can email us, feedback@geekcastradio.com. You can visit the episode post on the website. You can contact us on Twitter @GeekCastRadio, #AlteredGeek, or my Twitter handle is @SCP21.
Mine is @Boothninja81.
TFG1 Mike.
So, as always, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks. See you next time.
Yay.